in our communities and who is not. I don't know how we fix this, but I know the answer is not having children go in. My sister teaches in a school where there's a co-located charter school. You have some of the kids go up to the 4th and the 3rd floor, and they have computers, they have a nice room that's been built out, they have access to the gym that the public school students now no longer have access to. And then you have other students who are going in the same school, but they go in a different door. And they're going into a classroom where there's leaks. They're going into a classroom where there's holes in the floor. They're going into a classroom where there's old books. There is something fundamentally wrong with that picture. So yes, we should increase choice for parents, but we have got to do it in a way that is fair and equitable. We cannot have this two-tiered system that is growing up in America, where some have and so many don't have. We've got to find a way to share the resources. These are the things that as a congressperson I want to do. I want to bring a voice. So yeah, sometimes you do have to vote the party line, like my predecessor does on 98% of all her votes. But there needs to be somebody who's saying, hey, maybe this is the direction we want to go in. We've got to make sure that there's teeth in some of this legislation. I want to go to Congress because I want to help President Obama press the American Jobs Act. We really need to think about different revisions to the tax code. One of the things that he has proposed is cutting the payroll tax in half with the American Jobs Act, so that it will incentivize the development of small businesses. If you look at what's going on in the economy, most of the jobs that are being created through small business development. Not on the big scale, it's on the small scale. So we've got to do more to strengthen entrepreneurs. We've got to do more to train our young people who are coming out of college. When I went to Erasmus High School, I'm a long-term Brooklyn resident, there were other schools that children could go to. They could go to automotive high school. They could go art and design high school to learn graphic affairs. If you look at systems in other countries, we talk a lot about following the French model in healthcare or the Canadian model in healthcare. One of the things I learned when I worked as an analyst for Swiss Bank was the mentorship and apprenticeship program that they have for their high school students. And they recognize that everyone doesn't go to college, but that everyone has to have a trade, that they can make a contribution to society, and they can earn a living. And so in the banking industry, similar to what in the law profession, which I wish was when I went to law school, you used to apprentice with a lawyer. You didn't necessarily have to go to law school, but you apprentice with a lawyer for 3 years. Now, I'm not suggesting that we change the bar, but I am suggesting that there are areas where we need to think about alternative education for our young people to give them some choices. Real educational reform. We need to look at how are we training our young people? How are we doing diagnostics? When we looked a few years ago about this whole notion of educational reform, everyone talked about the portfolio system, so that there wouldn't be grades anymore, that there would be an evaluation of students, and that they would get a portfolio. I like the portfolio idea, but we never really went forward with that. We never really do a good diagnostic on children when they first come into the educational system to really understand what is this child's strengths and weaknesses? How do we develop an educational program that's tailored to them? And so there's so many things that we've done with that. And finally, because I see Ms. Fox is getting ready to give me the hook, so is affordable housing. I guess the GOP nominee designee, heir apparent, Mr. Romney, has suggested that if he gets into office, he would like to either decimate, consolidate, or reduce HUD. Now, I think HUD has had a lot of problems, but I think that if we are not looking at how do we provide affordable housing for our people, we are doing a major disservice. People need a place to live. They need a place to feel that they're at home. We need to look at, there are a number of programs in HUD that need to be revised. We need to make sure that we're protecting some of these programs. Again, I referenced tax reform, that there needs to be tax reform, not just in terms of the payroll tax reform that President Obama is suggesting with the American Jobs Act, but we need to look at ways to incentivize the building of not just luxury condominiums in Brooklyn, but how can we go back? The city used to have an 80-20 program that would incentivize for developers to develop affordable housing. We have decimated all those programs, starting with the Giuliani administration, that's been continued on through the Bloomberg administration. We need to look at how we're doing this on a federal level.